I wanted to talk this morning about a little bit of some of the techniques training you can do to increase the strength of your brain and mind. This will be kind of a precursor video to more advanced shamanic things, such as like channeling and actually listening to different entities and different gods, God Himself, if you think of just one God. Um, all these things are going to help build that part of the mind, that faculty, which will allow you to do that. It's really not as hard as you think. You think like channeling a god must be really difficult or really advanced. It's not. It's not. The gods want you to listen to them. They're annoyed with us because they know we're capable of doing it and we aren't doing it. They're sitting back there, just like some of them are just one dimension over, some of them are several dimensions over, but they're just like, what's wrong with you guys? Like, you used to be able to do this stuff. You could. We have give you all the skills. You have the capacity. You have all the DNA. Just do it, but you aren't. It's mostly because we aren't being taught how to do it. So that part of it, I'll talk about in the next video. This part of it, I want to just think these are the things that are going to help you to develop that faculty, and they all help the brain, they all help the mind. And I think that like if you start regularly doing this and using your mind in this way, you don't know, you realize how much room there is for improvement in everything. I mean, everything: mindfulness, memory, imagination, creativity, expression. They're all related. And if you aren't practicing techniques which grow that faculty, you're going to be worse at those things. You can be good at them or bad. What do you want to be? I mean, I think they're some of the most important things to be good at. So let's start with like just recall, okay? We'll think about a recall. Now I'm going to start with a really simple thing. We live in an era where we're really reliant on tech, writing stuff down, keeping notes, keeping calendars, and all that stuff's fine. But we are dissolving some of our memory ability, because we just aren't exercising it. Back when we were in school, I bet you your memory was a lot better. You might not have realized it, but how many phone numbers did you have in your head? How many, I don't know, for instance, which is how many formulas did you know? How many different physics, mathematics equations could you pull up in an instant? How much information was in there that isn't anymore? You didn't realize it, but a lot of that was lost. If you were out of school now, like you're not, I'm like 30 something now, so I have a ton of information in my brain, but it's because I am keeping that part of me alive. So when you have the opportunity, say like for instance, you have, somebody gives you the number, you write it down, sure, no problem. But next time you want to use that number, maybe instead of just looking it up right away, see if you can think of what it is. What is that number? Because you heard it. It's there. Your body remembers. Your body never forgets anything. Your mind stores everything. Every information, everything you've ever seen, every drop of data is stored somewhere in your psyche. Okay? It's there. You just got to be able to recall it. Maybe you won't be able to, but try. And trying will exercise that. You think, it starts with a 9. All right, 930, I think it was the area code. Okay, what was the other numbers? There was a 4 in there. There was a 6. And maybe that's the best you can do. Fine, but you tried. Okay, so you're exercising, and the more you do that, the easier those numbers will stick. Those names will stick. Those faces, they'll start to stick. Everything. That's going to help the memory, just that simple thing. And the more complicated the thing you try to recall, obviously, the better your memory. Like, say if I used to use a lot of mantras, lots of really complex mantras that were paragraphs long. And be there with a group and everybody would be reading the mantras, but I would memorize it instantly. Like, not instantly, but within like 5 or 10 repetitions of the mantra. And we'd be doing the mantra for an hour, 2 hours, and within maybe 5 to 10 minutes, I'd have it memorized. But the other people in the group would never memorize it. And they would be really impressed that I was memorizing them. It wasn't, to me, very impressive. It was just because I was trying. And they weren't trying. That's, if you read something constantly, you never break from that, you're not going to memorize it. Your memory only works when you separate yourself from the thing you're trying to memorize. So, yeah, that's just the way I think. That's just the way I do stuff. That's just my skill because I've exercised it. Now, another thing, one last thing before we end this video, it's already getting long, is recall. Again, when you want to, and this is going to go a little bit more into the imagination thing rather than just like recalling data. But let's say there's something like you thought of a good idea and a little time has passed, you didn't have time to write it down, and you forgot it, okay? Now, a lot of people, when they're trying to recall something, they're using the wrong kind of way of using the brain. Just sit there almost like you're meditating. Just kind of like reconnect, boom, just like reconnect with information. Just think of information as like almost the ether. The ether is storing your information. It's there somewhere. It's there either in your sight, it's there in the information in your aura around you. It's there. It can come. It'll probably come. You gotta relax. So relax into just being like, okay, I want this information. And almost like you attract back that information. And it's like you're sitting there with like very little strain. The only strain that you're using is like the most minimal amount necessary to keep your mind focused on the fact that it is trying to magnify that thing. And you can use this for anything. You can use this to magnify. This one technique is really cool because it will be applied to anything later on. You can see you want to attract some money, sitting there thinking with the minimal exertion that's what you want to attract. It'll still work. But I want to think about like actual information here. So you're going to sit there. And there was a video I did the other day where I took a long pause as I was trying to remember the next sentence of which area topic I was going to go into. And I sat there for about 5 or 10 seconds. I ended up cutting that part out of the video, but I should have left it because it would have shown you an example of that I just sat there. I wasn't straining for it. I knew it would come. And then I went, yeah, okay, there it is. Boom. And then I went and told it. That's going to work a lot better than any other way you're trying to, like, you can't force something back into your brain. But people try to do that, that's the kind of nonsense, that they're like, strain. You can't strain the information back in your brain. Your brain is weaker when it's in a state of strain. So why do you think that would help you? Relaxed is stronger, okay, when it comes to the brain, with the minimal exertion necessary. That is going to be a constant topic that I'm going to come back to you with. The minimal amount of exertion necessary to get the mind working in the direction you want it to work in. Anything beyond that is a waste of energy. Anything beyond that is actually going to repel to some extent.